I would say to people, look, you have to love what you do, first of all, because if you don't, then the chances are you're not going to be good at it.
The lawyer I'm interviewing today is a London managing partner of OMelveny Myers, one of the world's top 30 law firms. He's also one of the youngest ever managing partners of such a global-sized firm in the City of London. His specialism is investment funds, particularly in China, Sub-Saharan Africa, India, Turkey and Central and Eastern Europe, building the firm's private equity practice in the firm virtually from scratch. He is a member of the investment funds and securitization practice. He was named in the 2012 Power List, which profiles Britain's 100 most influential people of African or African Caribbean heritage. And in January 2013 was also named by the Lawyer magazine as one of the hot 100 lawyers of 2012. The lawyer I'm interviewing today is, of course, Solomon Wifa. Solomon, welcome to BLD Interviews.
Thank you.
I'm going to go straight in, Solomon. What does it feel like to be a managing partner at the age of 37?
Well, that was 3 or 4 years ago now.
Of course.
So I was asked to be managing partner, and it was a thrilling opportunity to learn, first of all. A bit daunting because I'd never been in firm management or administration, so it was new territory to me. But 4 years in, all good. I haven't broken anything. I'm still
well,
so
not broken anything, making waves perhaps even.
Perhaps, but there's a big team behind me that does a lot of stuff, so I'm happy to take credit, but it'd be unfair.
Okay, tell me, what does the role really entail?
Okay, within our firm, a managing partner is more of an administrative role. We are about 30 lawyers in the office, so I help coordinate the sort of administrative reasons for being in London and dealing with people and our opportunities in London. And as a partnership, the partners in this office, together we try and talk about strategy and what we want to do to grow the business. So it involves all of that, and chiefly amongst that is my day job, which is working as a lawyer. So I do that the majority of my time. So
majority of your time you are lawyering,
yes,
so to say.
That's right.
And the other part of your time is being the head strategist?
Well, the head strategist only in the sense that I'm coordinating meetings and making sure people are talking to each other
and where you're going,
where we're going, where the opportunities are. But it's no means my idea alone, my vision alone. It's very much a partnership, and I have a lot of people that help me here in London and outside of London to help fulfill our objectives. So I'd love to take credit for it all, but it would be unfair.
Okay, very fair enough. But so in your role as, shall we say, joint strategist, in your role as administrator, in your role as a lawyer, albeit as a partner as well, what is a typical day like?
A typical day usually starts with my 6 or 3-year-old waking me up in the morning, because they wake up much earlier than I do.
Of course.
I prepare them, take them to school, get to the office for 9:30 on average, sometimes earlier if I'm having a very busy day. The majority of my day is spent lawyering. I'm meeting clients, working with them through their issues. Maybe on average, maybe an hour a day, a couple of hours a day on average. I speak with my head of admin and my finance department to make sure that we're collecting money and we are keeping the business running as a business, and we're meeting the objective we set ourselves. But the majority part of my day is lawyering, and I probably finish off at about 7:30, 8 o'clock on average.
If you're lucky, I suppose.
If I'm lucky, yes.
At least, you get to have the family time, you're balancing work life.
That's right. I mean, I think it's a huge point of importance that there is a balance to what we do, and we not only preach it, we try and practice it ourselves, and we instill it in our employees that they have to have a balance. If we're not busy at work, we encourage people to go out and explore the other parts of their lives and fulfill themselves. So.
Why is that? Why is that ethos? Because really the idea of the city is that people work around the clock, typically 4 nights through the night, and that kind of culture. But you're saying no, we discourage that kind of culture.
No, there are some times when you have to work hard.
Long hours.
Even sometimes when you have to work through the night. We are a client-driven business, a client-centered business, so we have to be there when our clients say we need you. But when they're not needing us to work at that sort of pace or at that sort of speed, it is important that we rejuvenate ourselves. It's important that we go back and do some of the things we enjoy doing outside of the office, because if you're not a rounded person, if you're not a happy person, then you're not going to be an effective person at work.
So you're looking for happy employees, basically. So really, people will be looking at you, listening to you now, and maybe thinking in the future, I would like to be where he is today. I would like to become a partner, even managing partner. And do you have any hints and tips for them as to, your secret to success?
I think the first thing I'd say is I didn't necessarily plan to be where I am today. That doesn't mean I didn't have ambition or drive or wanted to be successful, because I had all of those things. But I sort of evolved in my development in trying to achieve that success, in trying to achieve that ambition, and that's where I am today. And for me, it's not a destination, it's a journey. With those broad sort of, those broad criteria. So with that as a backdrop, I would say to people, look, you have to love what you do, first of all, because if you don't, then the chances are you're not going to be good at it, or you're not going to be as effective as you could be at it. So I love what I do, as hard as it is, as tasking as it is, sometimes on me and my family. It is one of my passions, so that's important. I think the other important thing is you just have to take one step at a time. It's always incredible how I'm amazed as to how much I've gone far and have walked when I look back sometimes to say, well, what have I achieved over the last 12 months? What have I done over the last 5 years? And I'm not somebody that sort of plans 10 years ahead, or I want to be this, because I have too many ambitions. As a kid, I wanted to do so many things, and as an adult, I don't want to do so many things, but there are lots of things I still want to achieve, and so for me it's a journey, not a destination.
So what you're saying, 2 top tips is love what you do, one step at a time. You didn't particularly strategize and say, oh, in 5 years time I'm going to be this, and in 10 years time. So you said that lots of other things you still like to do. That would be interesting to know. What are those other things?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to be a farmer, I wanted to be a construction engineer, and now I know I can't fulfill all of those things in my current span. But if I were not doing this today, I probably want to be in the agriculture business. I love agriculture. I grew up around agriculture, so it's something I hold.
On a farm?
On the farm. I'm passionate to my heart.
Okay, so farmer.
Yes.
It's passionate, secret farmer somewhere.
I'm not sure.
It's a long way from the City of London.
It is a long way from the City of London. Interestingly, when a colleague of mine, we've been working for over 17 years, and he keeps reminding me that when he asked me what I wanted to do if I wasn't doing law as a first year qualified, I told him I wanted to be a monk. But
a monk?
Time has moved.
That is interesting. Yeah. We can have that conversation at some point. I know, as a fact, that your first ever job was in the sausage factory. And it's a long way from where you are, obviously, now, first ever job.
No, actually, not really. It's not that's right down the road.
Oh, the factory was just down the road. Okay, interesting. Have you ever been back?
I have been back.
To buy sausages or to say hello?
To say hello.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Was that you know.
Yeah, it was satisfying because I had friends there, and you know, I lost touch, and every now and then it's good to reconnect with people.
So you're not trying to erase anything, you're embracing everything.
No, I think the joy and colour of life is the totality of your experience, right? So
absolutely.
All of that is relevant.
Great. So you worked in a sausage factory, and I know as a fact also as a porter in a prestigious London hotel.
That's right.
What?
Now, if I were not a lawyer, I would also have been a porter, a concierge at one of the world's most prestigious hotels. It's a fantastic job.
Which one? Oh, you don't want to say.
I don't know. You don't there's so many prestigious hotels.
Nah, okay. So you don't know which one you would like to be. What message, I mean, from those jobs, because sometimes people, I meet students sometimes, they say, oh no, I really just work in a shoe shop, or no, I don't have these skills. I mean, just thinking back, what are the skills you think you've acquired working in the factory and working as a porter? They say, you know, you've learned about life as well as learned even in this current role.
Yeah, I think the most relevant for me today, which is consistent all the way through my career, has been connecting with people. Being able to connect and understand exactly how you're able to help in any particular situation, and it could be professional, it could be private, but that as a lesson came out quite strongly, particularly with the concierge or the porter role at the hotel, where I was really there to help, and being able to identify how you can help somebody else really gives you that sense of purpose and that focus to achieve what you want to achieve, and so that has stayed with me.
Great. So no matter what the role is, you can take things with you.
Absolutely.
To whatever the next role is going to be, and who knows where that's going to lead. Okay. A lot of your work, or at least some of your work, is private equity work in sub-Saharan Africa. You know, there's a lot of talk about Africa as the next big thing. Do you think private equity is going to save or actually make the dreams, some would say it's actually reality of Africa be the next big place to invest? Or is it the other way around, where actually the private equity in the West need Africa to succeed? What's your take on that?
I think private equity is one of the solutions in Africa, not the only solution, and not the foremost.
Not foremost,
but probably one of the most effective of the basket of solutions you can think about in Africa.
The baskets?
Well, for me, I think foremost is leadership. Africa needs superior great leadership, and it is coming, it is getting better, but there's still so much work to do in that regard. And I think if you have good leaders, if you have leaders that have an eye and a passion for their people and their mission and what they're trying to accomplish, then you have a direction in which people can travel. You know, the trajectory of Africa has been constantly growing. I think people will be surprised to learn that over the last 10 years, 5 of the fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. And the fact that, you know, there's an emerging middle class that is now demanding for their own fridge, for their own, you know, cars, and for their own good houses and insurance and that sort of thing. So private equity is there to take advantage of this opportunity, but in doing so hopefully creates that production of wealth for the businesses and the economies they serve. But there's another side to Africa, and the other side to Africa is, you know, how much of this wealth is trickling down into the general populace. And that's where you start to stray into politics, and I'm not a politician, but I think the statistics show that poverty is still growing at an increasing rate, and probably growing at a faster pace than the economies in Africa. And so governments and leaders need to find how to trickle that down. Africa is a passion of mine, you know, both professionally and personally. And I think the general trajectory of progress is encouraging. I think there will be better and more things to come out of the continent. And so I'm broadly optimistic. But private equity, again, is also a passion, but I can't say it is the magic wand. I think it is one of.
So you think leadership first, and everything else will follow.
Leadership and everything else will sort of fall into
including
place.
Private equity.
Including private equity.
Good. In fact, I mean, one of the things, just from listening to you, Africa is your passion. So it's mine too, because our parents are, that's our background, that's our heritage. But in terms of the diaspora, what can Africans in the diaspora be doing really to make this so-called, it's going to be wonderful and it's the next best thing in reality?
Africans in the diaspora are already doing a lot, actually, quite silently. And I will give you just a simple example. If you look at the remittances that go into Africa, they far surpass any sort of investment, direct investment that goes into any one country. And if you look at the personal remittances, people sending money to their cousins, their grandmothers, their mothers, their family relatives. So that, in that respect, Africans in the diaspora are doing a lot. But also over the last 5 years, the trajectory and the consequence of the financial meltdown in the West has meant Africa's got a brain gain, not a brain drain. And so there are all these people going back to Africa with their expertise to contribute and live better lifestyles, frankly, than they were living in the West. And so, I think that is going to continue. I think, not to be altruistic, but you do need incentives and create an enabling environment for people to contribute in a way that is meaningful, whether it's infrastructure and all of those sort of things. So, but I think there is much to be done and much being done. So.
Interesting. I think you've seemed to have bucked the trends here. There's, the recession since 2008. And in 2012, you've been very busy, in some really major transactions. What is the secret?
Being lucky? No, I think...
Pure luck?
No. It is, there's a big dollop of luck, I guess. But I guess for our firm, we're helped, and for our office in particular, we're helped by the fact that we are skewed towards the emerging markets. And it's a strategy that we've had this is our 10th year now in London. So before the emerging markets became fashionable, we saw that as an opportunity to go there and help and serve markets where people were frankly not looking at. And I think that has helped us a lot. Obviously, being excellent at what you do, the level of competition in our business, the level of demand in our business means you have to be excellent. You cannot take your clients' patronage for granted, and therefore providing them with the excellent services that they need and require is key. That has helped us a lot, because during the downturn, even where clients of ours were not active, they did not leave us and we did not leave them. So it's building relationships that last over a long period of time is quite key.
I can see why you've built an award-winning team then.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it is key. We're here to serve clients, and we chant it every day, but it is true. We are client-centric. We're there to think about what keeps our clients up at night. That's what we get paid.
I was going to ask, I think you already asked this question, I'm sure, about if you were not doing what you're doing right now, what else would you be doing? I think you said you want to be a farmer, basically, and that is it.
Yes. If it was the one thing, I'd be a farmer.
Where do you see your farm? Where's this farm?
Where do I see my farm? I don't know. If I were doing a poultry farm, I'd probably be somewhere in Africa, I think. It would be somewhere in Africa. But then it would truly be a million miles away from where I am now, both emotionally.
There's some Wellington boots and tractor.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
The whole works. Okay. I was just going to ask you, just thinking back, who would you say you've most admired, whether dead or alive? And why?
Two people, if I may. First is Nelson Mandela, and obvious. Why? Because it's very rare to see people that are able to put aside personal interests for the good of the whole and the common good of their country, particularly on the continent of Africa.
Leadership, as you
mentioned. So for that alone, I think he's just a fantastic human being to emulate and try and understand. And
he was in power and he left, but didn't.
Everything about leadership that you want inequalities on the continent, he encompasses, and he's there as an elder statesman, even into his 90s now, and still being an effective centre of stability for South Africa as a country.
So we need a lot more Nelson Mandela in the Africa.
We do, we do. And I think the second is more personal to me, and I'd say it's my mother, because I've watched her bring up 6 kids and struggle the way she did without a formal job or things like that, and that's just, every time I think I've got it hard up, I actually think of her, and gives me the get up and go and do what I need to do. So
I'm sure she thinks she's done a very good job.
I think she has. I think she has.
Finally, Solomon, if you could rule the world for a day, and you've got this power, you could do whatever you like for a day, what would you change or do?
It would be a frightening day, I think.
Why is that?
Because I don't think power is ever good. It's centered in any one person's hands.
Luckily, it's one day.
Yes, that's why it would be a frightening day. But if I were to be ruling the world for a day, my one priority would probably be child poverty, because it's just a disease and a state of consciousness that can be eradicated, but we don't have the political willpower globally to do so. And I always wonder, in 2013, when you look at the child mortality rates across the globe, Africa, Asia, in the West, it really isn't acceptable. And that mortality rate also shows you the unevenness and disparity between the West and the developing world. The gulf is just too wide. And so if I were to concentrate something for a day,
Very, very good cause indeed. Solomon, thank you very much.
Thank you.